everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Animal Kingdom. We're heading to the safari this morning. Parkhead Magical Hours. We got here a little bit before that. And now we are heading on to the safari. Hoping to see some animals today. Alright.
Why are you acting like a baby? I can tell from the expression on your face.
Okay.
You know about how nasty your face is.
Hey, what? It's nice and cool today. Everybody.
Guys,
so far.
we go on a safari. We're going to jump on Everest roller coaster.
Everest twice.
Hi, Emma.
Kind of chilling.
Hi, Deborah. Good morning, Cheryl. I'm doing great. A little bit of a late start, but because we had a very late night. But yeah, beautiful weather so far. I'm feeling it's going to get very hot and sticky today. Good morning.
We're like looking at a map.
I'll tell you what exactly.
Everybody, happy Thursday morning in the Animal Kingdom. We're in line for the safari, which is a fairly short line, so I figured I'd jump on now. We'll probably get back on around 12:30. We have a fast pass for that, but this pass is going really fast, and I thought, you know what, 2 times on safari today would be pretty awesome, because who knows what we're going to get to see. Good morning, Tanya. I tell you, if it keeps heating up like this, Cali River Rapids might be on my list of things to do today. It feels okay right now. The humidity is high, and the temp is supposed to go up, up, up. Yeah, Tanya. Yeah, I'm a rope drop girl, you know, so I'm trying to fill in the gaps with some morning streams. All right. Let these birds in here. It looks so fancy.
Perhaps this behavior advertises their athletic ability to evade predators. Harambe's bush country abounds with many varieties of antelope and gazelle.
So what we're gonna do, we get off this, we'll head towards Avatar, and we'll do the Navi River, because it's only like 15, and then it'll be time to do probably our
Good morning. About to head on the safari, guys.
I bet everybody went to Avatar.
See what animals we can see today.
But it was already by the time they let us.
I know my favorite, the lions will be sleeping, but hopefully they'll be sprawled out on a rock. Of course, who doesn't like a beautiful tower of giraffes? Those are always fun to drive by. Hi there. Hi there, Sam, from the UK. So glad you could join us. Yep. Got a little bit later start than I thought I would this morning, but we're here at Animal Kingdom. Let's go on the safari.
I looked online for any information on. Oh yeah, no, it is. I was texting last night. Oh, it's online. Yeah, I don't know where it is. They tell me first. They got paper for volleyball camp. So it's from going in to first grade all the way through 8th. So there will be 7th and 8th graders there.
I was on the safari just a few days ago, and we had a rhino running right next to the vehicle. It was so awesome.
All the high school girls. So it's 12 to 2. You have to run. I know. I think it's like, if I remember rightly, it was like $55.
Good morning, Julia.
I know, like, you did it for 2 years.
Gotta love cast members and their cheery disposition.
To meet the growing challenges
Disney wouldn't be anything without them.
Here, expanding human population is bringing with it a loss of natural habitat, threatening the very existence of great creatures. Sadly, even the golden
For anybody who gets sick. Sounds good to me. We have mine. Carabuni means welcome in Swahili. Welcome aboard. Go ahead and have a seat, everybody. We'll be on our way in just a few moments here. Alright, my friends on the right hand side, watch your flanks. Doors are shutting. Driver, doors closed. You're okay? Thanks, Holly. Alright, Jumbo, everybody. Welcome aboard. My name is Callie. I'm going to be your safari guide today as we head out into the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now, if you have cameras, I would definitely recommend having those out and ready to go, preferably on a sport or action type setting if you have it. It can get really bumpy out here sometimes. We're going to be going over some uneven, unpaved roads, so we'll be bumping around quite a bit. I won't be able to stop for every single animal we see, and when we do stop, it won't be for very long. Plus, the animals probably aren't going to stop and pose for us. So just make sure you're really ready to get those pictures. Now, if you take a quick look up overhead, there are animal spotting guides up above your seats there. We'll give you an idea of some of the animals we might find and kind of help you to identify them a little bit as we travel through the reserve today. We probably aren't going to see every single one of those animals, mostly due to migration patterns or sleeping habits, but we usually do get pretty lucky and see quite a few out there. Alright, looks like I have clearance from the warden to enter, so once again, this is the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, and this reserve is made up of a number of different ecosystems that we're going to be traveling through today. And every different ecosystem has different types of animal and plant life for us to find. Now, this first area is called the Little Ituri Forest, and a lot of forest animals have adapted great camouflage skills. They really can blend in well with their surroundings, so make sure we're looking really closely as we come through here. It looks like there's something moving kind of over in the bushes here on the right. I know it's a little tricky to see. Just see the ears sticking up. That's an okapi.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, yeah. Here, he moved out a little. Yeah, right in between the bamboo there. They look like they might be related to zebras. You can see they have those black and white stripes on their legs. They're actually the only known living relative of the giraffe. They have the same skull structure as a giraffe and the same long prehensile tongue to help them get the leaves out of the trees. If you look up here on the right, as we come around the corner, another good example of some really good camouflage. These are bongo, and those white stripes down their sides help them blend in really well with the trees and plants all around the forest. Now, if you look up here on the left, there's a black rhino. There's actually one laying down a little closer, so let me pull up and get a little closer look. Right up by the rock there. I always like to see black rhinos out on these reserves because that means they're being protected. There are only about 5,000 of them left in the entire world, so we like to see them being taken care of as much as possible. Now, these lighter colored antelope up here on the right are greater kudu, and you can see there are a few more bongos scattered around there. Both of them have those white stripes. Now, those kudu that we saw there were all female. The males will have horns. Both the male and female bongo have horns, and they're kind of curved back to help them get through the brush more easily. The locals call bongo the ghost of the forest because they're very rarely seen, so we're pretty lucky to get a glimpse of them out here. Okay, I'm going to head over to the Safi River next. Safi River is usually a pretty good place to look for animals. Let's see what we can find out here today. Keep in mind that hippos are nocturnal animals, so they're usually more active at night. I do see some up ahead there. I'll let that truck move forward. We'll go get a closer look. Now, usually during the day, they'll stay submerged in the water like that, and then they'll go out in the evening to find food. And they're herbivores. They eat plants. See where those two logs are sticking up out of the water there? 2 hippos underneath. Pretty cool. Oh, and a big group of them here on the left. Pull up so we can get a view on both sides a little bit. A group of hippos is called a bloat. Very appropriate. They usually don't swim to get across the river. They can swim, but usually they prefer to walk along the bottom. It's a little bit easier for them. And they can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes at a time to help with that. Even though they're herbivores, they're still considered one of the most dangerous animals in Africa. And that's because they're very territorial. So they can sometimes become aggressive if they feel like somebody's in their home. These big white birds here on the left are called pink-backed pelicans. They have a slight pink coloration under their feathers. It gets a lot darker and brighter during mating season. And they're very social birds too. They live in big communities of sometimes up to 1,000. And they'll pair off into male and female couples within those groups. Oh, cool. Okay, so keep looking over to the left. We're going to go over those bridges because that other truck is across here. Those are Nile crocodiles. Nile crocodiles can grow 16 to 20 feet long and weigh up to 500 pounds. Now, just to give you a little bit of perspective, they grow about as long as a giraffe is tall. They can get pretty big. You probably noticed most of them are laying very still out there, not moving a whole lot. That's because they're cold-blooded, so they have to regulate their body temperature. And while they're doing that, they don't like to use up a lot of excess energy. So they'll usually only move when they have to. It's the same reason you'll sometimes see them with their mouths propped open. That's how they release hot gases from inside their body to help keep their temperature where they want it. And you can sort of see how the trees start to thin out as you come around the corner here. That's a good indication that we're headed into a different ecosystem. Like I said, every different ecosystem has different types of animals to find. The next area that we're about to enter is called the savanna. The savanna ecosystem is home to some of Africa's more recognizable animals, things like giraffes, elephants, maybe zebras. So make sure to have the cameras ready. We'll see what we can find out here today. Over here on the right, this very cool tree is called a baobab tree. It's also sometimes called an upside-down tree. So you can see it kind of looks like the roots are up at the top there. They get that unique look because they're leafless for about 9 months out of the year. They can also store 9 months worth of water in their trunks in case of drought or an extended dry season. They've been known to live for up to 2,000 years. Very well adapted. Alright, beautiful view. Look at this. From the overlook, you get a really good layout of the savanna. See how much more wide open it is compared to the forests and rivers that we went through before. It looks like quite a bit of activity. You can already see some giraffes out in the distance there. A lot of the animals that live in this area are very large, like giraffes and elephants. And even the smaller ones usually hang out in really big groups. And some of them will travel and migrate across the savanna. If they all stayed in one place for too long, they'd start to run out of food to eat. So some species leave for a little while, go to different areas to give the grass and plants a chance to grow back. If you look here in the corner in the right, kind of back behind those logs, there's some grayish colored animals. Those are white-bearded wildebeest. I think we're probably going to be able to see them a little better on the other side there. These guys with the big horns, those are Nkoli cattle. They're also called Watusi cattle, after the tribe that first domesticated them. Now those are the only domesticated animals that we're going to see on the reserve. They're usually farmed more as a sign of wealth rather than for food or for milk. Their horns can grow to be 5 feet long. They're not quite as heavy as they look though. They're mostly hollow inside, and then they circulate blood to help keep the animals cool. Kind of a good look at this giraffe here. We are going to go around to the other side. Hopefully we can see them a little less blocked over there. The giraffes on the reserve are Maasai giraffes. And you can tell because their spots will have jagged edges. They don't quite line up evenly. Giraffes are the tallest land animals. They grow 18 to 20 feet tall as adults. They're already about 6 feet tall when they're born. Oh, awesome. Okay, look over here on the left. Try to pull up to the rock ones that truck marks for right. Yeah, those are African wild dogs. They're also called African painted dogs because of those elaborate hoof patterns. Now, these guys are very skilled at teamwork. They communicate, they cooperate really well together, and because of that, they're the most successful hunters in all of Africa. They'll work together as a team to wear out their prey. They have a really high success rate. Another giraffe here on the left. A giraffe's tongues are 18 inches long. And they're prehensile. That means they can grip things with them. So it helps them get the leaves out of some of the taller trees.
Good morning.
And that can be a big advantage for them out here too. Most animals can't get up that high to get those leaves. So they basically have their own food source up there. Their tongues are also very dark purple, almost black in color. And most scientists think that's to keep them from getting sunburned. They spend most of their time eating, so their tongues are often exposed to the sun. You'll notice they have those two protrusions on the top of their head. Those aren't antlers or horns, they're called ossicones. They're part of the skull and covered in skin and fur, just like the rest of the skull. There's one hiding kind of up here on the left, and an antelope walking around next to him. That's a sable antelope. They're the official emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Alright, let's see, hold up here. Get a pretty good view of this one. Not hiding behind the tree. A group of giraffes is called a tower. Good name for them. My favorite thing about giraffes is that they only sleep about 30 minutes out of the day, and not even all at the same time. They'll take several quick power naps throughout the day, usually still while standing, because they have to be on the run from predators. You'll really only ever see a giraffe sitting or laying down if they feel completely safe, because that's the only time they're ever really vulnerable. Look one more time so you can get a look at the giraffes and the Ankole cattle there. And giraffes have the same number of vertebrae in their neck that humans have too. They have 7. They're just a lot more spaced out. There are a lot of joints and ligaments in between. So their necks are very flexible. Helps them to bend down to get food and water, and it's how they fight for dominance. They'll hit their necks against each other. So we can get a little bit closer look at those wildebeest here on the right. We kind of saw them from before. White-bearded wildebeest are also called gnu, G-N-U, and about 1.5 million of them migrate across the savanna every year. They'll go 500 to 1,000 miles at a time. When they sleep in rows with spaces in between the rows. So if they have to run away from a predator, they can all kind of get up and run in the same direction without tripping over each other. Over here on the right, up on the hill, are some very small antelope. Those are springbok. Springbok get their name because they can jump 6 feet straight up in the air from standing, or 13 feet if they're jumping forward. They're also one of the fastest land mammals in the world. Very athletic little animals. And it's even more impressive because they really only grow to be about 3 feet tall. They're originally from South Africa, and they're a common sports team mascot down there because of those athletic abilities. You'll see some taller antelope over here on the right. Those are Patterson's eland. They're one of the tallest antelope in Africa, and they are the tallest ones that we're going to see on the reserve. They can grow to be up to 6 feet tall at the shoulder. Both the males and females have spiral-shaped horns, and when they walk, their joints make a clicking noise. It's a way that they attract mates. They can also jump 6 to 8 feet straight up in the air from standing. That's called pronking. So they're a little bit hidden there as we come around, but you can see how tall they are as we come around the corner there. Now, all the animals that live out on the savannah have a job to do to kind of keep the ecosystem running the way it should. Giraffes prune the trees. Elephants knock over dead trees so new ones can grow. Gazelle and antelope graze the grass to keep it growing. And smaller animals like warthogs and things like that will trim up the bushes and shrubs. So they all really impact the environment. Everybody has a role to play out here. There's a watering hole over here. Usually that's a good place to start looking for some animal activity. Yeah. Oh, okay, take a look up on the right, kind of up in the corner there, is an African elephant. Very cool. Well, elephants live in matriarchal herds made up of the female. And another glimpse of them as we go by is a little bit in a weird angle from this side. Elephants are the heaviest land animals. The males grow to be an average of 11,000 pounds, females around 8,000, and they're already about 200 pounds when they're born. All right, now unfortunately, since that road is closed, we're going to have to take an alternate route to the next part of the reserve here. And that means we're going to have to go over this old creek. All right, bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to be going poly-poly. That means very slowly. You may want to brush your fingers just to be safe. Lean right. Okay. Somebody didn't cross their fingers. Kuna Matata. No worries. Looks like we made it anyway. Alright, let's go see what we can find up ahead. Now, the reddish colored rocks that you're going to see in this area, these are made of clay. And elephants eat clay to get minerals that they need in their diet. You can see there's tusk marks and footprints down the side of the rocks there. Unfortunately, we lose about 96 elephants every single day due to poaching here in Africa. They're hunted illegally for their tusks, and it can be a pretty big problem. So just like with those black rhinos, we're always really happy to see them around these reserves, because that means they're being protected. Elephants have the longest adolescence of any animals besides humans. They'll stay with their mothers 13 to 15 years. It's a very long time in the animal world. And one reason for that is that they're highly social animals and they're very intelligent. So they spend a long time learning how to communicate and interact properly with other elephants. Like there is an elephant kind of up here on the left. We'll see if we can see him better from the other side of the island there. Another one out here, very cool. Alright, on the island here, on the left are greater flamingos. Oh yeah, hold up just a second. There's a baby elephant walking around up there on the left. I just came around the corner there. Very cool. These are greater flamingos. And group of flamingos is called a flamboyance. They get that pink coloration from the beta carotene in the shrimp they eat. And when they're born gray with black legs, and they get that pink coloring when they're about a year old or so. Greater flamingos get their name because they're the largest of all flamingos. They can grow to be up to 5 feet tall, but they only weigh around 9 pounds fully grown. And they're also the lightest colored pink of any flamingos. Now, if you look up here in the left-hand corner, there's kind of an orangish rock-like structure behind the palm trees there. That's a termite alley. You've probably seen quite a few of them out around the savannah. They're very common. Termites build them with a combination of mud and saliva. And after they sit out in the sun for a little while, they can get as hard as concrete. Large animals use them for scratching posts, and smaller animals will stand up on top of them to look out for predators. So even little tiny termites contribute to the ecosystem out here. If you look really closely up here on the left, this is going to be really tricky, but up on the hill in the on the left-hand side, there are two cheetahs laying down up there. Yeah, they blend in really well, especially with the sun coming in there. Cheetahs are the fastest land mammals. They run about 60 miles an hour. They use their tails like a runner to help them change directions while they're running. Oh, there's some more. Oh, there's actually another one, sorry. Another one right up here. Oh, two more in the corner there. Cool. Yeah, they really blend in well. They can only keep up that 60-mile-an-hour pace for a few seconds at a time. Just short bursts to help with their hunting. And they're the only felines that can't retract their claws, so their claws are always stuck out. And they're the only large cats that purr, like house cats. Oh. Look straight ahead. Yeah, there's some lions chasing each other around up on the rock there. Very cool. We'll go around and see if we can get a little better look from the side once that truck moves forward. Now those lions are both female. The males will have a mane. They'll have fur around their heads. Lions sleep or rest 18 to 20 hours out of the day. They're mostly inactive, so it's pretty cool to see them running around like that. And they'll go out for a few hours in the evening to do their hunting. And typically the male will stay and protect the pride, and a group of females will go out and find food. And during the day their eyesight's about the same as ours, but it's 6 times better in the dark. And they have padding on their feet that makes them almost silent. So it helps them sneak up on their prey.
Good morning, Lance.
This big rock formation here, it looks like a bunch of rocks stacked on each other. It's called a coping. A lot of times animals like lions will go up there and use it as kind of a lookout post. Oh yeah, there's a male right up on the edge there too. Very cool. We'll go around. There are some animals up here on the right too. We're going to be heading around that way though, so I'm going to make sure I can get this lion first. And the female's kind of laying down on the side there. Yeah, there's some white rhinos up here on the right and some water buck and ostriches. Oh, and there they go. The lions can run about 35 miles an hour. But just like with the chickens, they can keep them for very long. Just for a few quick seconds, they'll catch up with their food. They can also leap up to 20 feet. In good conditions, their roars can be heard for up to 5 miles. Yeah. Okay, take a look. What's going on over here? Okay, so there are warthogs up ahead on the left. They're one of the largest burrowing animals, and you'll be able to see the burrows too. They dig them out with those long curved tusks, and then back in with their teeth sticking out, so predators don't harm them while they're sleeping. Now guys, this zebra is a little bit too close to the truck. I'm not allowed to stop when they're that close. I'm going to have to go very slowly by them here. So bear with me for a moment. These are Grant zebras, and their stripes are a form of camouflage. When they're standing all together in big groups, predators can't always tell where one ends and the other begins. So they blend in really well with each other. They also have another good defense system besides that. They're deceptively strong animals. They've been known to break the lion's jaw with one hit. Alright, let's get a close look at these rhinos. And there's some ostrich walking around and some ostrich eggs. Those antelope are water buck. Now these are white rhinos. They're quite a bit bigger than the black rhinos that we saw in the forest. These guys can weigh up to 5,000 pounds. And I know it's a little hard to tell because they're kind of covered in mud, but they're not actually white in color. They're gray. They get their name from the Afrikaans word white, which means white. Because their mouths are wide to help them graze, whereas black rhinos picture she'll be sold as female. Females have gray feathers, the males have black feathers. And they're the largest birds in the world. They can't fly, but they still have wings. They use them to help keep their balance while they're running. They can run about 40 miles an hour, so it's helpful to have that balance. Alright, this last area we're entering is called Magadi Glen. It's the most recent addition to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Okay, over here on the right, by the water, there are birds. Those are yellow-billed storks. They're carnivorous birds, and they're not picky. They'll eat pretty much any animals that'll fit in their beaks. Usually they prefer fish, but they'll also eat lizards, frogs, snakes, sometimes even other birds. Okay, well, looks like that is going to wrap it up for us today. We start heading back to the village. Now, we got pretty lucky out there. We saw a lot of different animals. You're hoping to see some more like Rebby zebras, meerkats. There's a hippo pool there, lots of different birds. So it's a great place to check out the local African wildlife. And between 10 and 4:30, you can also catch a train to Rafiki's Planet Watch. Animals over there, they're animal experts that will show a lot of different games, activities, some really cool behind-the-scenes opportunities over there. And there's a detection section. Close to pets for the best of these animals. It's a fun place to check out if you can get a chance. Wilderness Explorers on board. This truck is called Simba 1. Simba 1 is the name of my truck. My name is Beth. And we are just going to drop you the word's post. Make sure to keep your arms and hands inside the truck until the doors are all the way open. Here in Harambe, we don't really like to say goodbye. It sounds a little too final for us. So instead we say kwaheri. That's a Swahili phrase that means go well.
Alright, these doors are opening on your right hand side. Please watch your...
Yeah, Lance, we had that several years ago. We had a rhino that wouldn't move from the road, and then when he did, he kind of jogged next to us. It was pretty amazing. All right. Well, good morning to everybody who joined us during our safari. I don't like talking during the safari because I want you to be able to hear the driver and talk about all the animals. So hello. Good morning, Animal Kingdom. We're going to, see, what time is it? Almost time for Expedition Everest, so we're going to go over there. But then later we're going to be walking through some of these trails, so you'll get to see more animals and bats and all kinds of amazing things. The shadiest park, which is awesome when you're here in the summer, and yet it's very humid. Yeah, well, you know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but yeah, a little too early for the Dole Whip with rum. Yeah. It's really not that bad right now, but it just feels like it's going to get really sticky today. I'm actually kind of used to it. I was raised in Atlanta, Georgia, with no air conditioning. So for 19 years of my life, I lived with, you know, very hot, sticky, muggy conditions. So, yeah, it's just, you get used to it. Alright. I'll walk toward Asia and Everest. I will go live for Everest, so you guys can ride it with me.
Well, it's a 15-minute wait for
I'll tell you what, we'll go around the corner here. Yeah, this way real quick. Alright guys, so we're going to go to Asia next. Everest. But first we're going to stop just briefly, and then I will be right back. So you guys hang out for just a minute. I'll come right back on.